Do you not know, beloved, the Christ is not a sensation? Do you not see that the real is not a flash of color across the inner screen, not a tingle at the base of the skull, not a private spectacle to boast of at breakfast? Let it be understood clearly. Be still and know that I am God. Not be thrilled, not be stirred. Be still, for the presence is not born in excitement. It is recognized when the mind's craving for excitement ceases. I speak to you not to scold, but to free you from a wariness that has no need to be. You and I live in a culture baited, teased, and promised. Open your third eye, and you will have special sight, special advantage, special identity. Do you not hear the whisper under that promise? If others see and I do not, what is wrong with me? And so, even as you open a video or a book, the heart tightens, the brow furrows, and the unspoken prayer is not thy will be done, but give me what will prove me. That is anxiety in a spiritual costume. That is the old insecurity reaching for a new tool. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. God does not come because you achieved a method. God does not go because you lost a mood. The kingdom of God is within you. Awakening is not a sensation you get. It is the presence you stop missing. When the wind drops and the water's quiet, you discover the shoreline that was always there. When the chase slows and stops, you discover the Christ who was never absent, never delayed, never bargaining. Let it be clear to you this night, God is not a power to be used by man. The moment you try to use God, you have left grace and returned to struggle. You have invented two powers, a problem to conquer and a God to swing like a sword. And in that instant, you have turned the holy into a tactic, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If you are seeking a light to wield, a vision to brandish, a sight to control the future, you are in the marketplace haggling. Grace does not haggle. Grace bestoffs. Some of you have asked me quietly, sometimes with a tremor in the voice, why have I not seen the lights? Why do others speak of colors, and I only meet my breath? And I tell you from experience, as one who long ago tried to coax heaven into a performance, I have sat with those who reported fireworks and went home the same anxious souls. And I have sat with those who felt nothing at all and rose to find that resentment had melted and fear had lost its teeth. Which was the miracle? The fireworks or the defeat of fear? My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient for what? For peace, for the day's bread, for the quiet rightness that needs no advertisement. So we set our expectation soberly and safely. We are not going to chase symptoms of spirituality. We are going to address the hunger that drives the chase. What is it we want of vision? Is it not to feel secure without surrender? Is it not to keep one hand on the rudder of tomorrow while asking God to bless the grip? In this hour, we release the grip. We let tomorrow be God's and today be still. Now, do you not know? The Christ is not a sensation. He is presence. The proof is not the spectacle. The proof is the restfulness that does not ask for proof. Be still and know, not with your eyes, not with your skin, but with that inward consent that stops insisting. Here, in the effortless pause between breaths, the word that was in the beginning is heard again, not shouted, not staged, simply present. And as we go on together, let this be our foundation. No chase, no display, only the humble turning of the heart to the one who already is. Let it be understood clearly, and let it be clear for your freedom. This business of measuring your progress by visions, by colors swirling behind the eyelids, by a pressure at the forehead, by flashes that you call downloads, by uncanny clocks and repeated numbers, by the gasp on a friend's face when you recount your night. This is a false measuring rod. Do you not see what happens the moment you choose it? You have told your own soul, I am more when I see more. I am less when I see less. And from that hour, peace is on probation. Peace is on layaway. Peace is always waiting for the next sign to be released to you. I speak to you as one who knows how easy it is to be seduced by the glitter. Years ago, I kept mental ledgers of coincidences as if heaven needed a bookkeeper, but the ledger did not keep me through the night. The sensation passed and asked, what next? And when no what next arrived on cue, the heart sagged. That is not salvation. That is addiction with spiritual language. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, said the Master, not to shame, but to rescue. For a life built on signs must feed forever on signs, and great was the fall of it when the winds rise against a house built on sand. Now, notice the structure of this. In the material sense of life, there are always two powers, one force to meet another. More sight to outwit the unknown, more leverage to outmaneuver tomorrow, more technique to subdue fear. And now what next? Always. What next? In the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. There is not your capacity versus threat, your third eye versus darkness. There is just grace, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The moment you adopt phenomena as proof, you have re-entered the two-power universe and called it progress. Let me say it plainly so you can rest. If your proof is phenomena, your peace will always depend on phenomena. If your assurance is the tingling in your brow, you have married your well-being to a nerve. If your identity rises and falls with synchronicities, you have enthroned chance over God. This is not condemnation. This is diagnosis. It is a kindness to catch the thief at the door. For what is really happening in the so-called third eye hunt? Spiritual ambition, dressed like devotion, slips in with a soft voice. Let me see that I may be. Let me impress that I may belong. Let me know that I may not have to surrender. O beloved, seek ye first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of optics. How then shall we measure? By their fruits ye shall know them. What fruits? The fruit of a quieter tongue when insulted, the fruit of a freer hand when a brother is in need, the fruit of fear loosening its grip without a battle, the fruit of resting, even when no light flashes and no angel taps your shoulder. These are not spectacles for the marketplace. These are the silent evidences that the root is drinking from a different river. My grace is sufficient for thee, sufficient without supplement, enough without adornment. So we put down the ruler that has never kept anyone safe. We refuse to graduate ourselves by dreams we can narrate. We retire from comparing diaries. Do you not know you cannot be more in God tomorrow than you are in God now, though your awareness of it may blossom? Therefore, stop scheduling peace. Stop renting confidence from the next anomaly. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is the life of you, the mind of you, the sight of you. Whether your eyelids are fireworks or blank night, we will, in due order, look beneath the hunger for spectacle. For now, let this be firm in you. Throw away the false measuring rod, and you have taken the first merciful step out of postponement and into presence. Now let us look under the wanting. If we have thrown away the ruler, what was it measuring? What are you really seeking when you seek visions? Are you seeking God or safety? Are you seeking truth or control? Are you seeking revelation or superiority? Be honest with me and with yourself, because this is the mercy that frees. Do you not see how easily the heart says God, while the nerves whisper guarantee? How quickly the lips say, "Thy will be done," while the fingers cross themselves behind the back, bargaining for tomorrow to go our way. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. That is not poetry. That is the necessary doorway to freedom. Let it be understood clearly. Behind the hunger for sight is usually the hunger to feel safe without surrender. We want a light that will let us keep the driver's seat and still arrive sanctified. We want a private signal system so that we may avoid being ordinary, avoid not knowing, avoid suffering. Is it not so? The fear of not being guided how it gnaws. The fear of being just one more soul who rises and washes dishes and loves quietly, how it insults our vanity. The fear of pain, of loss, of the unforeseen, how it sends us shopping for powers. But hear the Master. Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it. Do you not see? The very clinging that sends us hunting for visions is the mechanism by which we postpone the life we actually crave. I speak to you as one who has tried to slip past the cross by the side door. In my early years, I asked for signs before appointments, omens before decisions, little winks from heaven so I could go forward without risk. Sometimes they came, often they did not. But in neither case did they give what surrender gives. The day came when the props failed, supply drained, the diagnosis grim, friends silent, and there was no phenomenon to fetch. Then, in an inner stillness, born not of skill, but of giving up, I learned what "my grace is sufficient for thee" means. Not sufficient to outmaneuver the storm, but sufficient to meet it without two powers, without a second god called fear. Too many of us are trying to wear the crown before the crucifixion, before the disappearance of our private will into the will of the Father. We would like resurrection assurance without the relinquishment that makes resurrection necessary. We want certainty we can hold in our hands like an insurance policy. But not my will, but thine be done is the path. Not more data, more colors, more inner movies. Yielding, trusting. Take up your cross and follow me. There is no cruelty here. There is the abolition of the two-power universe. For as long as you need a vision to protect you from evil, you will believe in evil enough to need protecting from it. And now what next? Another vision, another assurance, another day of probation. That is bondage. What then do you truly desire? Strip away the costume pieces and name the substance. Is it not assurance? Is it not communion? Is it not peace? Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth. Not as the world gives in installments, with conditions, with a signature line and a due date. The shepherd does not flash lights at the sheep. He leads them beside still waters. The assurance you seek is not in spectacle, but in presence. The communion you seek is not a rare moment, but a steady atmosphere. The peace you seek is not purchased by foresight, but received in consent. Be not afraid, only believe. Believe what? That God is one, not two. That grace is the law of your being. That life is sustained from within, not by the reports of the senses or the tricks of the psyche. So we are not condemning eyesight. We are discerning motive. The question is not, did I see? The question is, did I yield? Not, was I warned in advance, but was I held in the midst? If you are seeking visions to avoid the lesson of reliance, you will miss the very teacher who would walk with you through the valley. If you will surrender, even trembling, even without a single sign, you will find that the valley is not a power. Problems must needs be, not as punishments, but as classrooms, until you and I have ceased to manage God and have begun to rest in God. Relax. Rest in the assurance that what you want in substance is already given in spirit. The kingdom of God is within you. The ordinary day, the unadorned prayer, the quiet kindness, these are not second best to someone else's fireworks. These are the green pastures where your soul is restored. And as we go on, keep this searching honesty close. Are you asking for a light to keep control or for a life to take control? Answer that, and you will no longer be driven by the hunger for visions, because you will have found the bread that requires no performance and the wine that asks no proof. Let it be understood clearly, for this is the mercy that will save you from much wasted weariness. God is not a power to be used by man. The moment you try to use God, you have left grace and returned to struggle. Do you not see the subtlety of it? You do not say, I will dominate life. You say, I will open my third eye so I can be guided. But listen beneath the phrasing. I will open, I will see, I will manage. The pronoun betrays the plan. It is an attempt, however refined, to install a control room inside the temple. Beloved, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The Spirit reveals, it is not manufactured. The Spirit governs, it is not driven by our alarms. In the material sense of life, there are always two powers and therefore a battle. One power to conquer another power. A sharper sword against a cunning foe. A new technique against an old fear. A wider sight against a tighter threat. And now what next? Always the next upgrade, the next drill, the next rehearsal for a problem that has not yet arrived. But in the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. There is not your sight versus tomorrow, your gift against your enemy, your chakra against disease. There is just grace. We walk by faith, not by sight. Faith in what? In the one presence that is not at war with anything. To retire from the battle is not passivity, it is sanity. It is the end of a universe in which darkness must be chased and scouted and surveilled by an inner flashlight. Let me speak plainly about danger, not to frighten you, but to save you from it. When the compass becomes experience instead of truth, you place your nervous system on the throne. You will be vigilant by day and haunted by night, alert to every flutter behind the brow, anxious if the lights do not come on schedule, inflated if they do. I have watched dear souls turn restless and brittle, not wicked but weary, because they married their peace to a sensation. Others swelled with a quiet pride, no outward boasting, but an inward whisper, I know what others cannot. And then came the sting, deception, not from a demon with horns, but from the simple fact that anything which can appear can mislead when appearance is king. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. How shall you judge righteously? By truth, not by fireworks, by spirit, not by stimuli. I speak to you from the ground where these paths cross. I, too, once sought private signals to keep me safe from surrender, little inner nods I could point to and say, there, that's God. I paid for it in fatigue and confusion. Peace flickered with the phenomena and died when they were absent. Only when the batteries ran out and I ceased from my own maneuverings did a different order announce itself. No spectacle, but an atmosphere. No strategy, but a government. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Cease, too, from the man within who insists upon managing God. Hear the correction and take it as kindness. The third eye as a tool, as a lever, as a private advantage, is still the two-power universe in silk robes. It is still, at bottom, the fear of life and the love of control. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, not even when they wear spiritual names. Our safety is not in improved weaponry, but in the end of warfare. Our assurance is not in more pre-knowledge, but in the presence that has no opposite. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. Let God be God without your choreography. What, then, is the pivot? It is not to shut your eyes tighter, nor to shame yourself for curiosity. It is to withdraw the agenda that demands a way to manage tomorrow and to abide where only one law operates, grace. Be still and know that I am God. Not be strategic, not be psychic, not be impressive. Be still. Let the mind unhand its instruments and the heart relinquish its bargains. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Do you not see? Direction is a byproduct of devotion, not of manipulation. Light is the nature of the one, not a badge you earn by strain. So we retire from the battle. We refuse the two powers. We will not try to use God to secure the self. We will yield the self into God and find there was nothing to secure. My grace is sufficient for thee, sufficient without spectacle, enough without leverage. And from that sufficiency, true sight, when it comes, if it comes, will not be an engine of control, but a quiet recognition that there is only one, appearing as many, needing no management, requiring only trust. Let it be understood clearly, so there is no more confusion in you. Lights are forms. Sensations are forms. Visions, voices, even thoughts, forms. The tingling at the brow is a form. The stillness you feel in your chest is a form. And Scripture warns us of this very thing. They changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator. Do you not see? The creature is any appearing high or low, bright or dull, while the Creator is the invisible life that is being all of it. Do not fear the creature. Do not chase the creature. Do not worship the creature. Love the Creator. Why this insistence? Because the moment a form gains authority over you, you have given your peace to what can change. If a forehead sensation can make you feel advanced, it can just as quickly make you feel lost when it is absent. If a color behind closed eyes tells you you are special, the blankness the next day will whisper, you have fallen. That is bondage to the weather of the nervous system. That is idolatry. And it is subtle because it comes wearing spiritual clothing. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is creator first. Form is messenger, not master. Effect, not cause. Let us make this practical, with a test you can carry like a lamp in your pocket. After any experience, vision, dream, pressure, coincidence, ask quietly, does this leave me quieter, gentler, freer, or does it leave me more excited, more anxious, more special, more dependent? If quieter, gentler, freer, it has served as a window through which grace reminded you of what already is. If more excited, more anxious, more special, more dependent, it has tempted you to enthrone the creature. By their fruits ye shall know them, not by their fireworks, by their fruits. The fruit of the Spirit is peace, not rush, humility, not display, love, not separateness. Now, hear this reassurance, because some of you will be tempted to throw away the entire garden for fear of weeds. We do not repress experiences. We do not grit our teeth against the light or banish a sensation. We simply refuse to grant them authority. If the brow tingles, bless it and let it be. If a dream comes with sweetness, receive the sweetness and release the script. If nothing at all appears, thank God for the vastness that cannot be confined to pictures. Perfect love casteth out fear. Fearless love is not pushing away the creature. It is refusing to bow to it. It is the Creator who is your safety. The creature has no power to add or to subtract from who you are in God. I speak to you as one who has watched the pendulum swing in many a dear heart, up with the vision, down with its absence. And the day comes when we are weary enough to try the single remedy that always was at hand. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and check for a sign. Be still and know. When you know, even faintly, you will find that forms become companionable. A thought passes. You do not follow it with incense. A sensation arises. You neither cling nor flee. A coincidence delights. You smile and remain at rest. This is the Creator's government in you. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Do not fear anything that has form, not even a thought of fear itself. It is a creature. Smile at it and return to the source. Do not worship anything that has form, not even a sublime inward image. It is a creature. Bow within, past it, to the One. Do not chase anything that has form, not even a holy feeling. It is a creature. Abide and let it come or go. Man does not live by bread alone, nor by lights, nor by tingles, nor by rare moments, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Form is never your authority. The Creator is. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is, and let every creature take its proper place, harmless, helpful at times, but never your master. Let it be understood clearly, and let it be understood for your freedom. You can memorize every scripture on light, chart every chakra by color and Sanskrit name, learn the precise millimeters of the so-called third eye, and remain unawakened. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. Why? Because truth is not stacked in the head like books upon a shelf. Truth dawns in the heart as realization. Do you not see the difference? Learning amasses statements about God. Knowing is the quiet awareness of God. Learning can quote, God is, and still be afraid. Knowing rests in God is, and fear finds nothing to grip. Now, watch the mind's cleverness. It says, very well, I will move from fireworks to stillness. And then it proceeds to multiply techniques for stillness, timers and tracks and temperatures, crystals on the breathing ladders, micro surrenders, scheduled at the hour, the half hour, the quarter hour, until you are laboring under a new empire of methods, calling it spirituality. Do you not see? Technique shopping becomes a substitute for surrender. The mind remains in management. Only it has swapped tools. It is still attempting to run the temple. And now what next? Another protocol, another promise, another checklist for a God who will not be managed. Here is the whole pivot, and I say it to lay an axe at the root. Realization comes when the mind stops managing God and starts yielding to God. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. No sequence of human manipulations, however refined, can produce revelation. It is given, not assembled. It is received, not engineered. Take no thought for your life, not because thought is wicked, but because anxious managing is the bondage. When you drop the posture of management and consent to be governed from within, something you cannot describe does the work you could not do. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewed how? Not by adding opinions, but by yielding the throne of control to the one who already reigns. So then, how do we cooperate? Not by intensity, by constancy. Live with truth, time again and time again and time again, until it ceases to be a phrase and becomes your atmosphere. Choose one word of God, my grace is sufficient for thee, or I am with thee, or simply God is, and abide with it as you would abide with a beloved presence in the room, not to provoke a sign, to steep, not to make something happen, to let what is be felt. I am not asking you to collect more teachings. I am asking you to marry one truth and keep the vows. I speak as one who tried the other way. I read. I listened. I carried notebooks of insights and dates, and my peace flickered with my notes. Only when I ceased from curating and began to live with a single truth did the head's knowledge sink into the heart's knowing. No trumpet, no halo, just a soft, steady mastery of fear where fear had long been master. Carry this sentence with you as a mercy in your pocket. I do not need more experiences. I need less resistance to what is already present. Say it when the advertisement for the next method finds you. Say it when the room is plain and the silence is ordinary. Say it when the nerves twitch and the old impulse to fix your way into God wakes again. And then do not tighten, loosen, do not add, yield. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. No, not catalog. Make free, not distract. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is here now, without your choreography. Let the mind lay down its clipboard. Let the heart consent. And as that yielding becomes your habit, you will discover that techniques no longer multiply, because the one in whom you rest has nothing to prove and nothing to chase. Let it be understood clearly, and let it be understood for your freedom. Problems must needs be. Do you not see the paradox that saves your life? The very thing you call a setback may be the doorway where grace becomes real. In the material sense of life, we judge our standing by the absence of trouble, and then we add a spiritual gloss to it and call that victory. But this is the false measuring rod in new clothing. Too many of us are trying to arrive at resurrection without crucifixion, trying to be lifted before there is anything to be lifted from. In the spiritual consciousness of life, difficulties are not penalties. They are the arena in which reliance on props dissolves and reliance on presence begins. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Overcome how? Not by the removal of all weather, but by a life that no weather governs. Now look at the cleverness of the power path. It whispers, if I can just see more, I will not have to feel this grief. If I can open the third eye wider, I will not have to face this fear. If I can receive a warning, I will not have to trust. Is it not so? The appetite for sight becomes an anesthesia. We do not mean to avoid surrender. We merely wish to be spared the valley. But hear the Master. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. What must die? The sense of a self secured by props, by foresight, by special signals, by an inner radar that saves us from ever needing to say, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Every material prop is going to be taken away from mankind. Do you not see the mercy in this? Money will prove uncertain just when you thought the columns would always add. Health strategies, perfect until they are not, will stumble at the one thing they cannot predict. Reputation, carefully husbanded, will meet a misunderstanding you cannot edit. Control will slip like water through clenched fingers, and you will stand there where all who live must stand, without a lever, O beloved. That is not the hour of your end. That is the hour of your beginning. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Cease also from the man within, who carries a kit of techniques to keep God at a safe distance, while using the word guidance as a charm. I speak to you as one who has stood in that place. Supply gone to the last coin, the body ruled terminal by an expert, friends kind but powerless to do anything but watch. I had no phenomenon left to fetch. I could not threaten God with my religious resume, could not buy an omen with my tears. And there, in the absence of props, something unpurchased revealed itself not as a flash, not as a drama, but as a quiet dominion, a government within that could say, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The condition did not instantly vanish, nor the account fill at once, but fear lost its altar, and where fear is unseated, harmony has permission. My grace is sufficient for thee, sufficient without props, without spectacle, without a second power called danger to wage war against. Do you not see? The third eye temptation to know more so that you will not have to yield is only another round in the two-power ring. And now what next? Another lesson, another symptom, another demand for sight to subdue a supposed opposite. But in the spiritual life, there are not two powers. There is just grace. Resist not evil is not weakness. It is the end of the game that keeps evil alive by opposing it as a power. When resistance stops, the belief in a second cause begins to dissolve, and with it the need for 1,000 little assurances. So when the prop shakes, do not rush for more power. Do not light more candles to fortify a self that is being kindly undone. Stand still. Let what is temporary pass through, and consent to be held by what is permanent. What you call a setback may be the very gate through which you stop managing God and begin to be governed by God. We walk by faith, not by sight. Yes, not even by inner sight as a strategy. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. And in that rest, you will discover that resurrection is not a show. It is a steady rising into peace without props, life without a second power, love without an opposite. Resist not evil. Let it be understood clearly. This is not an invitation to lie down under injustice, nor a command to approve what conscience does not approve. It is a spiritual law addressing the seat of power in your own consciousness. Do you not see? Resistance assumes a second power. Resistance organizes a battle. Resistance frames the universe as a field of enemies and allies, forces and counterforces, and then calls upon God to strengthen one side against the other. And now what next? More strategy, more sight, more scanning of horizons, for if evil is a power, you must stay vigilant. But in the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. There is just God. There is grace. To resist not evil is to refuse the premise upon which the battle feeds. It is to withdraw consent from the theater in which fear plays the lead. Apply this where so many have become entangled. The mystical marketplace. I speak tenderly, because I know how hunger makes us shop. But look with me. What is being sold? Shields against darkness, armors for the aura, keys to open a sight that will spot the danger before it spots you, remedies, talismans, trainings, each promising to place you a little higher on the wall, a better watchman than yesterday. Is it not so? The assumption underneath every advertisement is the same. There are two powers, a force to defeat a force, a stronger current to push back a tide. And if you buy it and believe it, even if the product works, what have you purchased? A more elegant fear. For the day your shield is mislaid or your practice skipped, the old specter returns, whispering, you are exposed. That is bondage in spiritual clothing. Hear the replacement, which is not a product, but a posture. Rest in the assurance of grace. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient for what? Sufficient to live without a second power called enemy. Sufficient to stand without reconnaissance. Sufficient to walk through the day unarmed because there is nothing to war against. Do you not see the mercy? When you cease to feed the belief in two, fear loses its ration. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Not because I have scouted tomorrow, but because I dwell in what does not have an opposite. Perfect love does not outthink fear. Perfect love casteth out fear by making its premise obsolete. Now, some will ask, but then what do I do when a shadow appears? You do not turn your sight into a weapon. You do not escalate by calling the shadow power. You acknowledge it as appearance, a creature, not creator, and you return within to the one. Be still and know. Say quietly, God is. Not as a counterspell, but as that which never left. Refuse the battle, abide the presence, and watch the practical fruit. For spiritual law proves itself. There will be fewer skirmishes in the mind. You will find yourself spending less of your day composing replies to imagined threats and more of your day in a simple affection for whoever stands before you. You will feel less need to prove that you are guided, less compulsion to speak of private lights, less hurry to be impressive. By their fruits ye shall know them. The fruit of this way is quiet, love in daily life, patience at the sink, gentleness with the brusque, a readiness to bless where once you bristled. I speak to you as one who once bristled and called it prayer. I fasted and armed myself with verses, muttering them like incantations to beat back a fear I had secretly enthroned. Peace came, flickered, and went, because I had not yet surrendered the belief in two powers. When weary, I rested, really rested in God is, without countering and without campaigning. Something shifted. There was no trumpet, only the soft end of a long argument. The day did not change. The government within did. And then a curious freedom began. Fewer arguments in thought, fewer contests in feeling, more space to love without agenda. That is not passivity. That is release from a universe of enemies. So hear the master again. Resist not evil. Hear it now as the key that turns off the machinery of fear. You do not overcome darkness with sight. You dissolve it by refusing two powers. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. Let grace be your sufficiency in this hour, not to make a show, not to display a weapon, but to live unafraid. And as you live unafraid, you will discover that guidance needs no trumpet, Protection needs no proof. And love, quiet, steady love, does the only conquering that is real. Let it be understood clearly, so there is no more burden laid upon you. The third eye, if we use that phrase at all, is not a psychic camera. It is not a flashlight to sweep the room for enemies. It is the single eye of which the Master spoke. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Single with what? Single with God. Not two powers, one presence. True inner sight is not the exhibition of phenomena. It is the discernment of reality. It judges righteous judgment, not according to appearance. It recognizes the nothingness of fear forms, the unreality of the world's claim and counterclaim, and the ever-presence of divine harmony that does not come and go with the weather of sensation. Do you not see, then, what such sight beholds? It does not catalog shadows. It beholds the Creator as the only authority and sees the creature, every form, every stimulus, every rumor, as a servant or as nothing at all. When accusation shouts, it does not rush to analyze. It quietly knows, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, because in grace there is no second cause to arm it. When fear paints pictures, it does not argue with the paint. It knows God is, and the picture fades for lack of a believer. This is not passivity. This is power in its only true sense, the power of what is, dissolving what never was. How does such discernment appear in daily life? Often without spectacle. It appears as wisdom. The word not spoken, the errand not forced, the meeting gently declined because there is no compulsion to prove. It appears as timing, a pause that is not procrastination but guidance, a yes that ripens in silence and carries peace in its wake. It appears as compassion, the ability to look upon the frightened and not be frightened with them, to sit with the suffering without adding your struggle to theirs, to bless without display. It appears as the capacity to be still without panic, to wait without bargaining, to act without self-importance. My sheep hear my voice, not with antennas, but with a heart that has ceased demanding signals, and so can receive a nudge as softly as a breath. From the outside, such sight may look very ordinary. There are no announcements, no shining face for the camera, no calendar of visions to be recited at supper. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there. It is within you as a new government. It orders your steps without pageantry. It settles arguments within, so that very few need to be fought without. You will not be able to show it to those who require fireworks. A spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. But you will know by its fruit. The body is steadied. The tongue is gentled. The day is paced by love rather than by alarms. By their fruits ye shall know them. Let me say it again for your freedom. Inner sight in the spirit is not a tool of control. It is a surrender into accuracy. It sees God as God and everything else as effect. It does not prevent you from ever meeting a problem. It prevents you from mistaking the problem for a power. It does not give you advantage over your brother. It gives you love for him. It will not necessarily spare you the valley, but it will say with authority, thou art with me, and the valley loses its teeth. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. If you would have this single eye, do not strain your brow. Yield your heart. Do not ask for a picture. Consent to reality. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. Live today in the quiet practice of Creator first, and you will discover that discernment dawns the way morning dawns, not by your command, but by being what it is, light. And in that light, you will find that the whole body, mind, speech, decision, relationship fills with a steadiness no apparition could supply. Let it be understood clearly, so that we do not lose our way at the very gate. Do not make a demonstration to impress anyone. Do you not know what snare this is? The wife who says, "If you could only show me," the son who smiles, "Prove it." The colleague who raises a brow, how the heart aches to be believed, to win an argument with a healing, to secure our belonging with a sign. And now what next? A strain enters our practice. We are no longer resting in God. We are campaigning for God. We are no longer still. We are staging. I say to you with love and with the authority of much failure in this very trap. This is a hopeless task. Why hopeless? Because the spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. The Master himself taught this. If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded. Though one rose from the dead, you could empty a tumor and they would call it spontaneous remission. You could find supply in a famine and they would call it lucky timing. You could be sustained in peace while storms rage and they would say you are in denial. Do you not see? Sight that begins in matter must end in matter, and matter can always explain itself to itself. Therefore, cease trying to convince. Cease arranging outcomes to secure applause. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. If you do, ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. What, then, is our proper relation to those we love? Grant them freedom, complete freedom, without interference from us. You may offer them a pamphlet or a book. You may invite them to a talk. You may speak a single quiet sentence if there is a true opening, but you should not go further than that. Do not pressure, do not hint, do not merchandise grace. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet. Keep the holy private. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. This is not secrecy born of fear. This is reverence born of trust. Truth does not need your trumpet. Truth abides and reveals itself where there is humility and room. And look now beneath the surface, for here is the real surgery. The need to be seen as spiritual is the same ego that seeks powers. It is the same hunger wearing a different robe. One asks for lights and tingles. The other asks for an audience. Both delay awakening. Why? Because both keep you in a two-power world. You and your reputation on one side, your doubt is on the other. And God enlisted as a sponsor to silence them. God is not a power to be used by man. The moment you try to use God to win an argument, you have left grace and returned to struggle. Resist not evil includes this. Resist not the appearance of misunderstanding. Do not battle it. Abide the presence and let fruit in its season speak for itself. By their fruits ye shall know them, not by their announcements. I speak to you as one who has tried to make a show for the sake of the dear ones at my own table. I thought, if only this prayer would ripen on their timetable, if only this supply would land while they are watching, they will be warmed to the truth. Instead, I found tension slip into my voice, calculation into my calendar, and love into a ledger. Nothing pure can be born of that. In the hour I released them to God, really released something softened. We returned to simple kindness. Months later, quietly, one of them asked, "What is this peace you have? Do you not see the different atmosphere?" A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. Grace is gentle, and it does not coerce. So if anyone says, show me, answer tenderly, I cannot show you a performance, but I can sit with you in silence, or I can lend you a page that helped me, and I will love you whether you read it or not. Then rest. Refuse to trade your privacy for approval. Refuse to spend your prayer as currency. Enter your closet. Let the Father who seeth in secret reward you openly, not with trophies to parade, but with a life so steady that dramatics are unnecessary. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as display, as freedom. Awakening is not for display. It is for freedom, yours and theirs. Relax. Rest in the assurance that God is. Cease from making effects. Consent to be governed. And as love respects their liberty and guards your own privacy, you will find a strange release. The burden to convince drops away, and in its place a quiet joy appears, the kind that needs no witness to be true. Let it be understood clearly, and let it be understood for your freedom. The way is simple. It is not more effort for more effects. It is repeated, returning, until peace is natural. We do not graduate to grace by collecting experiences. We acclimate to grace by living with God as the air we breathe. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and get God. Be still and know what is already so. Do you not see the mercy in this? The simplest soul can walk in it at once. Here is the practice. With no ornament and no strain. Relax. Release the search. Rest in the assurance that God is. Not God in something. Not God in your next sign. God is. Let the shoulders drop. Let the jaw soften. Let the breath be as it is. Say within, even wordlessly, God is. Stay there, as in a gentle leaning, not to make something happen, but to cease trying to make anything happen. When the mind reaches out for a sensation, a picture, a warmth, a sparkle, notice it and ask softly, what am I trying to control? Then yield. Yield what? Yield the project of self-protection and self-promotion. Yield the audition. Say quietly, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Not theatrically, not tragically, simply, truly. And rest again. Make this a way of walking, not an hour on the calendar alone. As you wash a cup, rest. At the red light, rest. Before you send a note that hums with anxiety, pause and rest. In the waiting room, rest. 3 breaths of God is lived honestly are better than 30 minutes of bargaining or performance. Do you not know? Pray without ceasing is not a marathon. It is a returning. A dozen small returns through the day are worth more than a single dramatic seeking on a weekend. Time again and time again and time again, turn back. Abide in me, said the master. Abide is a steady verb. It is not a chase. Now, let us be practical in the body. Do not repress bodily sensations. If the hand tingles, let it tingle. If a tear comes, let it come. If the leg jitters, let it jitter. If the chest warms, let it warm. Do not interpret these as achievement or as warning. Do not place them on a chart of success. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Sensations are the weather. We are not taking the weather as prophecy. We are abiding the presence as climate. If an image passes across the mind, bless it by not grappling with it. Return to God is, and let the picture pass as a bird across the sky. How do we steepen this? until peace is natural, by immersion that is gentle and faithful. Choose one word of God. My grace is sufficient for thee. I am with thee. The Lord is my shepherd, and live with it, not as a slogan, but as a companion presence in the room. Visit it morning and night in brief stillness. Visit it between tasks. Visit it in the middle of a conversation by pausing within. Do not measure your day by the number of visions. Measure it by the number of returns. A tree is not grown by tugging at its branches. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, planted, not performing, watered, not whipped. Do you not see how this changes the atmosphere? A life of returns becomes a life under new government. The old scarcity of reassurance fades because you are no longer living on yesterday's manner of sensation. You are living by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Little by little, fear finds fewer hooks. Little by little, choices uncoil from tension and move with a quiet rightness that asks no applause. You are not pushing darkness back with sight. You are resting where there are not two powers. So, here is a simple way written on your heart for this very hour. Relax. Release the search. Rest in the assurance. When craving rises, ask, what am I trying to control? And yield. Return to presence when the mind reaches for signs. Let the body do as it does without making it a sermon. Revisit truth time again and time again, short, honest stillness until grace becomes your atmosphere. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, not as a performance, but as the natural climate of a soul that has ceased managing God and begun to abide. At this moment, let us meditate. Let us withdraw from the battle of becoming, from the reaching, from the arranging of outcomes, and let us rest where all arranging is unnecessary. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and get, not be still and see, but be still and know. Let it be understood clearly. We are not here to manufacture a spiritual experience. We are here to cease resisting the presence that already is. Relax. Let the shoulders drop. Let the breath be as it is. Let the thoughts come and let them go as clouds that neither help nor hinder the sky. If an image appears, if a flicker of light plays at the edges of your seeing, bless it by your indifference and return to the simple center. The Christ is not a sensation. The Christ is the presence you stop missing. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as display, as substance. Now, softly within, no struggle, say, God is. Nothing added, nothing subtracted. God is. There are not two powers. Grace is, rest the mind there, like a child leaning into a father's chest. Peace, be still, not a command shouted into a storm, but the way the sea grows quiet when the wind has ceased. God is. There are not two powers. Grace is, if the body stirs, let it stir. If a tear rises, let it rise. If a cough wants to come, do not repress it. Sensations are the weather. We are resting in the climate of God. Judge not according to the appearance. Simply return to the knowing. God is. There are not two powers. Grace is. The Christ is not a sensation. Abide in me, and I in you. Allow those words to become a room you sit in, a chair that holds you without your holding it. We make no bargain with this moment. We are not asking for a sign. We are not seeking to confirm a lesson. We are letting lesson and learner both be quiet in the one who teaches of himself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. There is no want here for phenomena, no want here for reassurance from the marketplace of powers. Want falls away as presence fills. God is. There are not two powers. Grace is. Now, in this low tide of striving, listen beneath the noise, not for a sentence, but for a sense. A hush opens, a warmth without heat, a rightness without logic, a companionship without witness. Lo, I am with you always. This is enough. Do not move to decorate it. Do not move to explain it. Let it be what it is. Rest back. Be held. Be simple. My grace is sufficient for thee. We will sit like this a few moments more, unhurrying, unfixing. If thought wanders to outcomes, gently smile and return. God is. There are not two powers. Grace is. Be still and know. Let the knowing be of God, not of tomorrow. Let the knowing be of presence, not of pictures. Let silence have you. As we come toward the close, carry this ease into the hours that follow. Do not turn meditation into an event you must orchestrate. Let it be a returning that you gladly make. Set aside a few minutes each day, morning and night if you can, to sit in simple stillness and rest in God is. And when you come to any further study, to any reading or listening, come to it from silence, not to find silence. If we gather again, I ask come a few minutes early and sit quietly, without conversation, without reaching for more content, so that together we help the atmosphere. A community that rests in God before it speaks of God becomes a lamp that needs no polishing. We do not take anything from this hour but peace. We do not make anything of this hour but peace. My peace I give unto you. Receive it without your help, without your striving. Now, quietly, within, one last time, God is. There are not two powers. Grace is. Peace, be still.